this? Have they noticed this? Have they comment on this? Is it still yet to be determined? Are they like, I mean, I'm just kind of wondering what happens when a physician is faced with, because they're not seeing a lot of people do a carnivore diet, and they're not seeing people where many people where the disease just kind of sort of goes away on its own. What's been the response, or if any?
Well, I can tell you that the first physician that I had when I just had Graves' disease, my first endocrinologist, he was, I would say, pretty standard. He wasn't interested in diet of any kind to fix Graves' disease. But when I got type 1 diabetes, that's what I think what really kind of turned my mind to, there are a great many physicians out there that aren't here to really make people better. Because I mean, basically what he told me was, you can eat as many carbs as you want to. It doesn't really matter. Just make sure you give yourself enough insulin to cover it. What does that mean? You know, the reason why I say it that way is because what human being or creature, what creature on planet Earth, mammal, reptile, amphibian, says, okay, I can eat as many carbs as I want to, as long as there's enough insulin to cover it. There is no such thing as you knowing what that is. Your body does that for you. Your body has innate intelligence, i.e., if there's too much glucose in your blood, your pancreas is going to go, well, if we leave this here, we're going to die. So here's the insulin to get rid of it. Obviously, you know, there are other issues that can come with that, excessive weight gain, storage of adipose tissue in places where it doesn't belong. But it shocked me. It truly shocked me that he was like, no, it doesn't matter. Your diet doesn't have anything to do with this. And I'm like, essentially speaking, a type 1 diabetic is allergic to carbohydrates. Like, if they eat them, they will die. So what is it that you can eat that will cause you not to die? And at the time, obviously I didn't know, but he was more interested in, you know, writing me prescriptions than helping me figure out how to manage this in a way where I'm not, you know, and I'm not injecting 60 to 80 units of insulin a day to keep from having astronomically high glucose levels. So long story short, I stopped going to see him. I started with a new doctor, and he was more willing to entertain the idea of helping to control it with diet. But in getting those labs back that I spoke to you about recently, with perfectly normal T3 and T4, free T4 and free T3 levels, free T4 and reverse T3 levels, and the antibodies dropping so drastically, he still wants me to take methimazole, which is kind of, it's kind of boggling to me, given the fact that if my thyroid levels are normal, my hormone levels are normal, if I'm taking even a maintenance dose of methimazole, like that could put me in hypothyroid state, and that's not good either. Like, neither one of them are good. So why would you want to do that? And when I questioned him on it, he kind of didn't have anything to say. He didn't know what to say about that. And then I asked him, you know, about the drastic drop in such a short period of time in the antibodies, and didn't really know what to say about that either. He said, well, you know, I mean, it is possible that you could go into remission. And I'm sitting here thinking, Doc, I've been on a ridiculously high dose of methimazole for over 6 years with no change. And I come in and tell you that I'm changing my diet in this way. And then there's this huge plummet happens, and you don't have anything to comment on it, or maybe, hey, we want to take a closer look at this and monitor it more closely. We're going to do, an antibody test every 3 months for the next year or something like that. No, that's, again, it seems more like they're interested in writing the prescription and getting, when the prescription is filled, getting that kind of, dividend payback with, for doing that, instead of actually making people better. And one thing that I've been, incredibly convicted of since finding all of this information and following this kind of, carnivore protocol is I got to figure out how to help people, because I was lost, and I'm just not that kind of guy. I grew up, I've been a martial artist since I was 4 years old. If you see that hanging right there on the wall, that's my first black belt plaque that I got when I was 11 years old. I got my first black belt from the World Taekwondo Federation in the state of Indiana at 11. I got another one in judo when I was 19. I've been wrestling and boxing since I was 4 years old. I'm a pretty tough guy. I'm a pretty sure guy. And I was terrified. I didn't there had to be a way to not be sick like this. I mean, I'm not sick. I was an athlete. I was always, strong, fast, played basketball, played football, even though I'm too short to do that. I got killed playing football. But I enjoyed it, and then martial arts was always, something that I strived to be really, really good at. And, it all got taken away from me young because I was having these medical issues. There's got to be a way, and there is a way. It turns out there was a way. There is a way, and it turns out it has to do with, like Dr. Barry says, a proper human diet. The reason why you're sick is because you're eating 80% of your calories and plant material, and we were never designed to do that. Our appendix is about the size of the end of our pinky finger. Where in apes, it's 4 feet long. We don't have the ability to ferment fiber in our guts anymore. So we don't get any nutrition out of that. And it causes disease because of it, because it's not what we're meant to eat. We're essentially starving ourselves inadvertently by believing, this pyramid scheme, as I like to call the food pyramid, that we should be eating this way. But it seems as though everybody has bought into it, physicians included, to answer your question. And that's scary to me. It's sad to me as well.
Well, it's a couple comments. I think, with regard to the physician, they're not really getting paid to prescribe medication. Sometimes they have bonuses that are tied to percentage of people on these. There's not direct payments with that. And I think honestly, your physician just doesn't know. I mean, he's never been faced with this probably situation before, and they're just kind of clueless. So they don't know how to deal with it, just because they don't think about curing disease anymore. It's really just symptomatic management and medications, medicine. It's physician as a healer is not much anymore. It's more just physician as someone to manage symptoms, which is quite sad to see that. And, fortunately, like I said, I know that there are studies that are going to be coming out that are going to be looking exactly what you're talking about. So hopefully we'll be able to educate more physicians on this. And so we can use things like diet that can, be potentially curative. And it's too early to say whether or not you're cured or not, but certainly quality of life is clearly much better. I mean, you're not having
million times better.
Yeah. Million times better. And that's what we want at the end of the day when it comes to why do we go to a physician I think to feel better, to have a better quality of life, and if that just means taking pills to move numbers around, I don't know that that's doing what it's supposed to.